Should I focus in mindfulness meditation?
Let them go? Is that really what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, are we trying to focus on one thing or focus on one thing and then another? Earlier on, we had talked about what being mindful is, and then how there are practices that facilitate being mindful. So, in my view, being mindful is there's actually no effort to it, right? So, if for instance, you could try this right now. If you just say, silently in your mind, sitting in the chair doing absolutely nothing, what happens? You're just aware, right? There was maybe for 3 or 4 seconds, your mind was probably completely empty of thought, right? Without trying to get rid of thinking, which we should not try to do. Just sitting and doing nothing, you find that the natural state is to be aware, right? And without focusing on any particular thing, it's just, here's awareness. I know that I'm aware, and I know that there are things coming in through the senses. Now, sometimes it can be skillful to bring our awareness, maybe focus it in a little bit on a particular area of the body. It can be very skillful with inner parts of our mind that we might not pay attention to very much. So this is something that I don't recommend playing around with this too much early on in the practice, but as you spend a little bit more time in the practice, really the kind of moment to moment should be about as close to effortless as possible. It's just, I'm aware, that's it. There are things happening, and I'm aware that there are things happening, right? And then what you'll notice is there are these internal things coming up, like thoughts and emotions. And it can be very skillful to really make the effort now to turn awareness inward, to where we're really seeing an emotion, feeling how it feels in the body, to see a particular thought that keeps coming up over and over again, or listen inwardly to a voice that's just very repetitive. And what happens is when we do that, we actually, it becomes more and more clear that those things, there's a little bit of separation between awareness and these objects in the mind. And that creates, you'll notice that when that is seen fairly clearly, there's just a little bit of a sense of a relief, where like, oh, okay, there's some space here, right? There's some space between this awareness and what's arising in awareness. And this is actually where we find a lot of freedom, because I think if we're all really honest about our experience, what happens to us is not the problem, ever, right? The problem is always what we think about what happens to us, right? You can have 2 people experience the exact same thing, and one person responds with a calm demeanor, maybe even with a smile on their face, and somebody else responds with hysteria. You know, like maybe a funny example would be, we come home from work and you find that there's a pile of dog poop on your front lawn, you know, and one person comes home and they get all bent out of shape and they're cussing and they want to go fight with their neighbor over dog poop on their front lawn. But the second person comes home and says, oh, wow, there's free fertilizer here. This is great, you know? And of course, you know, there's something to be said about positive thinking. But what I'm suggesting here is that we can be free from thinking altogether, right? So if we're seeing thoughts objectively, almost as though we're seeing them on a heads-up display of sorts, they don't cause any problems. It's just, here's a thought about this. If it's skillful, I follow it. If it's not, it just passes away on its own accord. I'll come back to that in a second, because I did want to kind of wrap up with the idea of there are times when it's skillful to gently direct awareness to specific areas, whether it's a thought that's arising and then you see, oh, this thought is an impermanent part of what I'm aware of. It's just something that arises and passes away. Or as we did when I was guiding us through a simple practice of sitting, we were bringing awareness to different areas of the body. That can just be helpful to notice. Sometimes we're holding a lot of tension in a certain area of the body, and just to be aware of that, you notice that it kind of loosens up a little bit. So I think this is just a good place to start as a grounding in the practice, is to have some foundation. Yes, awareness is essentially just open. It's for the most part just effortless. However, for most people will get lost very quickly if there's no effort at all. So a skillful means is to have just some gentle effort of noticing, what does this body, this very heavy, tangible thing here, what does it feel like? And to get into, to feel that more deeply, sometimes it's helpful to go from one part of the body to another. Hello, my friend, and thank you for taking a minute to check out this video here at the Mindfulness Edge. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Please feel free to leave any questions that you have about the practice down in the comment section below if you think I could be of help. I do my best to answer as many of those questions as I can, and I enjoy helping wherever I can. If you found the video helpful, please feel free to subscribe to this channel to make sure that you never miss any of the videos that we post. And you could also feel free to go ahead and hit that little like button. That will help other people to see this video, and hopefully it will be of help to them as well. And if you like, I have a little gift for you. If you head on over to themindfulnessedge.com, I'd be happy to give you free sample chapters of my book called The Mindfulness Edge. So until next time, I hope you are well.